Hey, this is Joey again. You might be able to barely tell that I'm in the picture. um, but I'm not going to stress about it too much. I'm watching the road really carefully. The speed limit is 55 and I'm going about 30 because there's deer everywhere in this park. You can't hunt deer in this park. So there's deer, and they don't give a fuck either. They just meander out in the road, and they'll walk right up to you and stuff. So it's a little bit dangerous out here this time of night. Deer are kind of nocturnal. I guess they are nocturnal. I don't know that. Generally you'll see them in the late afternoon, early morning, but they're out mostly at night, I think. And then they sleep during the day to avoid predators, I think. So, anyway, I've got my brights on, and I'm hopefully the only person on this road. I was a little concerned that I wouldn't be able to get out of the park. So this is me leaving the park. I got all my shit packed up, and right now my thermometer's reading 26 degrees in my car. Usually, it's been going down the whole time I've been driving, so it started at 32 and it's been slowly creeping down. And it's only 1 a.m., so it's only going to get colder. And I was basically freezing. So I decided that I was going to call it at about midnight. And I made a little video. So the reason I decided to call it was obviously because it was so freaking cold. I think if I'd have brought more blankets, like a lot more blankets, like 20 blankets, I might have been okay. But as it is right now, I just didn't have enough. I had my sleeping bag and that one blanket, and that was it. And the one blanket, it's like a blanket that you keep in your car for like emergencies. And so it's not really built for keeping you warm on sub-freezing and sub-freezing temperatures. So my thermometer did creep up to 27, but it does tend to warm up as the car warms up. So it might have bottomed out there at 26, but it's freaking cold. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video, though, was so it's kind of a new moon time of month, and so it's the skies are absolutely dark out here, and it's just beautiful. You can see all the stars. Well, you can see a lot of the stars. There's no, in the continental U.S., you really got to get west of the Mississippi River by a pretty good margin and get out. Oh, there's another deer. Oh, there's two deer. You got to get way out in the wilderness out west, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and even then, you never know to see truly dark skies. And even then, it's a little sketchy. If you're east of the Mississippi, you don't have a chance really of seeing most of the stars. Where my parents live, you used to be able to see even the Milky Way, which is pretty dim, and it takes a pretty dark sky to be able to see that. I could not see it tonight, for example. But I could see a lot of stars, and they were twinkling pretty hard, so there's a lot of atmospheric disturbance tonight. there were clouds. It was cloudy all day, so there's probably a lot of when it's cloudy, it kind of traps heat, and then if the clouds move off after dark, then you get like a heat coming up off the ground and radiating out, and that causes the atmosphere to get all jacked up. But it was still pretty, and it reminded me of why I used to want to be an astronomer, and it makes me kind of curious about what it must have been like for the people like Galileo back in the day, before we had all these electric lights everywhere, and you could really see all the stars. I mean, if you look at a constellation, I would encourage you to look at a book, or I guess you could look it up on the internet, but if you look at the constellations, they typically, like the Big Dipper. Oh, there's a rabbit. Wow. Okay. So if you look at the Big Dipper, it has a lot more stars in it than just the Big Dipper. Like they call it Ursa Major, or the Big Bear, or Great Bear, something like that. And it's actually a bear shape. And if you're in dark skies, you can see all those extra stars, and you can see how they might have thought, that would have, it would have been more than just a dipper, So, if you're in really dark skies, you can see these other constellations, these lesser known constellations, and you can understand how they might have saw those back in the day, or why they would have named them back in the day, because that's like they were much more visible back then than they are now. If you're in a city like Nashville, which is not a big city, or Memphis, also not a big city, or even just towns, you don't have a chance of seeing hardly any stars. You can see only the brightest 100 stars in the sky or something. So you can see the Big Dipper, you can see Orion, and maybe Cassiopeia or something along those lines, but you don't really see it. You can see some of the planets, although I'm sure in the city it's really hard to see Mercury, because it's so close to the sun, so you can only see it like at sunset and sunrise or thereabouts, and then you get all that light and stuff, so it's a little difficult to see Mercury, but I think it can be seen. I think I've seen it here recently, but in the city. But the planets are pretty obvious usually, but other than the planets and the major stars, the top 100, you can't see anything when you're even on the clearest nights in the city. So I think a lot of kids are really missing out on that, and it only gets worse. So it's gotten noticeably worse in my lifetime. So I don't think that in a generation or two, I think there will be some cities, I don't know which ones, but some cities where it'll be completely blacked out. You won't be able to see anything, or blocked out. You won't be able to see any of the stars. So that's kind of sad. But anyway, I'm headed home. When I get up here to Spencer and Cell Range, I'm going to text my wife and tell her to kick her boyfriend out and all that stuff. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.